Okay. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. So I'll just wait for a few more participants to join. So there we go, that's more like it. Brilliant. Hey guys. So hello everyone, my name is Tafsir. I'm a final year medical student at UCL and I am taking the Medmentor UK weekly clinic. We take it every Saturday at 6 p.m. So and we're on Instagram Live, we're on Twitter Live, we're on our website Live, and we're also on YouTube Live. So do join us across whichever platform you'd like to. What I'm here to do is basically troubleshoot your questions. You guys being potential applicants to medical school, or maybe you've applied already. And what I want to do is just help out with any questions you have about the medicine application process, about life at medical school as a medic, as a doctor in the future. Anything that you have, feel free to drop below, whether that's to do with personal statements or UCAS applications or work experience or just questions in general about medicine. I'm happy to chat. I think we're building a little bit of a online community here with our lives. And thanks to you guys for joining us every week. And a few of you guys who have joined already, like Roshan, we've seen around before. So it's nice to see you all. And yeah, so we've got an hour. Shoot your questions either in the comment section below or shoot them on the question cards that come through, and I'll be happy to answer them. I've been on the UCL Med School interview panel before for the last 2 years, and I've learned a few things about interviewing medical students and what we're in general looking for as medical schools. Obviously, I've been through the process myself now 6 or 7 years ago, and I'm a medical student myself, involved with all of this. I've been a mentor at Target Medicine, which is like UCL's outreach program, for 6 years, and so we've had a few mentees get into med school, which has been very nice. But yeah, so we'll take it away. Hey Roshan, nice to see you. And I'll start with the first few questions that have come in. So the first question from Ali/Ali. What does applying strategically mean? That's a very good question, Ali. So applying strategically is something that I did when applying for med school, and is generally to do with kind of going with, in simple terms, applying strategically to med school is about applying to the 4 medical schools that you think you have the highest chance of getting into because of the strengths that your application holds, whether that be through your experiences and your grades, / your entrance exams like BMAT and UCAT scores. So that's what applying strategically means in general. And the way I went about doing this is actually made a checklist and portfolio of what all universities and med schools across the UK were looking for in their application processes. And then I narrowed them down to what I saw as my strengths in my application process. Like, for example, I had really good GCSE grades, whilst I was worried about my UCAT score because I didn't think I was going to do good in that. So I applied to universities that had a stronger emphasis on GCSE grades because I knew that was my strength, for example. Thanks so much, Ayo. Hey, bro, it's nice to see you on this. But yeah, thanks for joining us, Ayo. Ayo just saying something very nice about me and the Medmentor team. But yeah, so that's how I went about applying strategically. I literally went on each university website, and I spent like 2 days doing this and I saw which ones that I'd kind of want to maybe go for and which ones I was probably able to. So that was like about 20, 25 or something out of the 30 something med schools. And I literally just wrote out like they're looking for students that are all rounded because it says something on their website. Or I looked at data from previous years where they said that the number of people who got in, what was their average BMAT score, average UCAT score, because that type of information is available, but it's very difficult to go and find, and it's very much in the trenches of their websites. Sometimes I called up admissions tutors, I went to the open days, I spoke to people that I could get a hold of in years above, maybe knew people in medical schools around the country. I think something that would be very useful for you guys to apply strategically is to go on the Medical Schools Council website. And when you go on the Medical Schools Council website, there's a document that tells you about all the application criteria for the medical schools in the country, all done for you, and what they're looking for, including like minimum requirements and like things that they look for on average. Have a look at that document, and that would do half your job for you. But yeah, you're gonna have to be very proactive. And I'd encourage you strongly to apply strategically, more so than even like when people go, oh, make sure you go to the campus, which is difficult to do during COVID. Make sure you go to the campus and make sure you have a good feel for the university. Make sure you like the university. A lot of people, rightly so, look at distance away from home and things like that. Those are very important factors. But for me, I knew that getting into med school, getting into just one med school was the aim, and it was hard enough as it was. So I was just trying my best to, with my chance to go into a place that had my strong strengths. So the document is on the Medical Schools Council website. I've mentioned it before in a few live stream sessions. And if you go there, you can see literally the entry requirement for all the medical schools in the country. So I think you could even Google Medical Schools Council entry requirements. Yeah, Medical Schools Council entry requirements, and the first thing that comes up on your Google search is what they have, and then you can literally just follow that page, and you've got all the universities in the country there and what their requirements are, and then have a look from there. Ali, I hope I've been able to answer your question there. Let me know if you've got any follow-ups. But yeah, have a look. Okay. So the next question is good to see your great advice on great platform. Thanks so much, AF. Really appreciate it, man. Cool. So the next question I have is from Sam. Thank you very much, Sam. Do you want to say hello in the chat? Hello, Zaire. Thanks for joining us today. Zaire is at F1. So if you guys have any questions for doctors, feel free to drop them below. He'll either answer them or I'll get them to you. But yeah, does medicine have a lot of maths in it? No. That's the short answer to that. Not a lot of maths at all. Just a few ratio calculations for hey Sam, just a few ratio calculations for medicines, but those are things that you can just learn quite easily. And you get used to using those calculations every day if it's your job every day, and the calculator always helps. But yeah, no maths exams in medicine. You just have to do a few calculations for medicine. Yeah, that's it. Hope I've answered that question. Why do you ask that, Sam? Are you not keen on maths, or do you want some maths in your degree? Hello, is it? Looking like Clubhouse. Yeah, so does medicine have a lot of maths in it? In general, I applied to medicine because of the fact that it did have some maths in it, and I liked maths, and I didn't want to leave it completely behind, but at the same time, I didn't want to do a pure maths degree. So it was nice to have something that has a bit of everything in it. From maths to sociology to psychology to sciences, you name it, it's got it. So yeah, that's that. The next question we have is from Ali. So what med schools favor high GCSE grades? So Ali, unfortunately, I'm not too sure about Sam just replied, no, I enjoy maths. That's fine. So that's one of the reasons why I applied to med school, because I liked having some maths to do. And these are decent calculations, and sometimes simple, sometimes not so much. And so yeah, I'd say go for it. You can do loads with maths. There's a lot now in the field of computing, data science, and like things like that in general, which are like open to medics as well. So you can quite easily, people that I know that were very, very keen on math did BScs and got into those type of fields and applied maths there as well as in their clinical practice. So being good and enjoying maths is a very big advantage in medicine, even though we just see it as a pure science subject. So yeah, good, Sam. I hope you go for that. Yeah, so what med schools favor higher GCSE grades? So when I applied 7 years ago now, which is a long time ago, I remember Oxford really cared about GCSE grades. So they put a formula in of their BMAT score, of your BMAT score, times that by what your score was in your GCSEs, like the higher the score based on like the number of like A stars or 9s and 8s that you guys get. And then they ranked you based on that to give you an interview. And I think most of the time, most people had like straight A stars almost in GCSE. So that's Oxford. I'm sure they've still kept that. In other universities, they had different thought processes. Like, for example, I remember Nottingham mixed 2 years ago, 1 year ago for my mentees, they still mixed their GCSE grades with their UCAT grades. So, for example, if your UCAT score wasn't that high, that's fine if your GCSE score was, because it could balance out. Other universities that did it during my time was Cardiff, but I think they've changed that now and they're now purely UCAT based. So yeah, so just have a look on that Medical Schools Council website thing that I mentioned, and those tell you what they include, what includes GCSE grades or not. I know some med schools that just disregard GCSE grades as long as you got the minimum B's and C's in specific subjects, and they only use UCAT to rank you. So again, I tell you to have a look at that because every year things change. And that's something to think about. Ali, what are you thinking about for GCSE grades? Are you worried about them being included, or are you happy with them to, like, let me know down below what your position is. Hey Amna, hey Amy, good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us again today. Kamala, Sarah, Isabella, Liv, Jonas, Seki, Alice, Ahmed, all you guys, thank you for joining. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them below, and I'd be happy to answer them as much as possible. And hopefully I'll be of some use. But yeah, that's what I'm here for. Cool. All right, I've got another question for Ali. Ali, you've got good questions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. So let's have a look. All right, let's have comments below. What do you think the best character or like skill you have right now is for interviews? And drop them below. I want to see what people are thinking about. Let's get everyone's confidence up. So, for example, for me, I thought that in an interview, even with being nervous, my personality would come across in my answers, in the way I talk, in my little like hand gestures to like my accent or whatever. And so yeah, so that's what I thought, and I still use to this day, is trying to get my personality across because I want to show that I'm a genuine person. So that's what I think would be my strength. What else? Oh, Roshan's rare message. Wanted to let you know I got an offer for my first choice med school this week. These sessions helped me out so much. Oh, Roshan, congratulations. Woohoo. Oh, I'm so happy for you. Oh, wicked, wicked, wicked. Which med school did you get into, Roshan? I know you had an interview. How did the interview go on Monday? I think last week you had an interview then. But yeah, huge congratulations, Roshan. You deserve it. I can tell that you worked really hard for this and you're very insightful with it. And you're going to make an incredible med student and even a more amazing doctor. So I can't wait to see you around in the hospital sometime soon. Oh, wicked. That's made my day. Wicked. Woo. Are you excited, Roshan? I'd guess you are. That's the stuff that we love to hear. Woohoo! Thank you for sharing it with us as well. Really appreciate it. Right, okay, but it did work out. We knew it would work out, Roshan. That's amazing. Great work, great work. I think everyone's very gassed for you. We'll let the Medmentor team know. I'm sure they'll be very happy to hear that as well. This is exactly why we're around. We want to see this happening. Woo! I'll tell you right now, after you get into med school, Roshan, and like you get involved in stuff, I'm sure you'll be involved in widening participation and helping other people get into med school, because those are like that feeling that you're having right now. I remember that feeling, and it was just like the most amazing thing once you got that offer. So it's lovely to share it with other people. So yeah, it's wicked. How are you celebrating, Roshan? Which med school did you get into? Are you looking forward to it all? Mate, but keep the comments coming in. Want to see more. What a story. All right, so I'll go back to the question as Roshan's answering. So how to stand out in interviews. Okay, so the main thing is to make sure you know at the base level, make sure you know your stuff for interviews. So that means preparing well, making sure that you go through the right resources, interview practice, and that you're good at kind of just being eloquent. At the base level for interviews, you don't really need to stand out and be amazing. You just need to meet a good level where hopefully your nerves don't get the better of you and you can put your points across well and you're thinking things through. The best interviewee, in my opinion, is someone that has a critical thinking ability and is able to debate arguments, able to see different sides of the same point, is able to bring across their points of view, their perspectives, and other people's perspectives, and being understanding of it. Because I think that requires a high level of thinking and is very hard to do under pressure. but that's what you should be practicing. So let's say you bring out an article and you're talking about that. You talk about for and against, what it's about, what you think of it, people's opinions, perspectives, other what would a patient think, what would a doctor think, like etc. Stuff like that. So I think that's the best way to show that you're amazing at interviews, by putting across that critical thinking and debating ability. Other things obviously include like communication skills, getting your personality across, trying to be as honest as possible and as genuine as possible, because in an interview, that's what we're looking for, the right person in this medical school. Because by the time you've got the interview, you've already been, you're like, everyone knows you're good enough to get into medical school. It's just what type of good doctor would you make, and are you suited for that medical school? So again, you don't have to do amazing in interviews, you just have to do good, and to show that you're going to be a good doctor. That's the main thing, because they already know you're clever enough. Ali, I hope I've been able to answer your question there. Thank you for putting that across. It's a good one. Cool. All right. Nice. Roshan just replied a little bit. All right. So it is Edinburgh, but I have another interview this Monday. So I pose the question is, would be, should I go? Yes, Roshan, go for the interview. Why not? I mean, you've got it, but it's up to you, to be honest. Oh, and because I guess you're a grad student, so I guess this is like the interview means you're in anyway. So Edinburgh's amazing. I mean, Edinburgh's an incredible med school. So wicked. Wow. It's the HCP med course. So I'm really looking forward to it. These sessions help so much, and appreciate you gassing me up. Really boosts my confidence. That's wicked. Oh, lovely to hear. Thanks, Roshan. That makes my day as well. I'll be honest with you. That's amazing. What's the next interview? I think go for it for the experience. I don't know why not. You're so confident already. I'm sure you get the offer from the other one as well. It does help, but if you don't want to do it, that's up to you. I mean, you've done it. You've gone into med school and you're going to become a doctor, and that's all that needs to be done. So yeah, so congratulations to Roshan, someone who's tuned in almost every week to Medmentor Clinic Weekly Live, and we're just so happy for you, and we'll let the Medmentor team know. And that's the stories we want to hear. So you guys, if you have any questions regarding the application process, this is the place to do it. And yeah, it's wicked. Right, the next question we have is from Ilyas. So Ilyas's question is, what would you say are the best resources to use for interview prep? Brilliant, that's a good question. What I'd say is that we've got a few blog posts on the Medmentor website right now on interview stuff, and do have a look on that. I think the Bible of interviews, medical school interviews, is the interview book. So it's called the ISC Medical Schools Interview Book. We've mentioned it a number of times, and I've quoted it a number of times in these live sessions. That is amazing. You go through that. That's most of your prep done. And then you go, and then the other two things that I'd recommend with interview prep is actually trying to get a hold of someone in years above that have actually had that interview before at that med school, because those people are gems, because they tell you exactly what their interview experience is, what type of things to expect, good things, bad things, just practicalities, give you some confidence of what to prepare for. Those are like the gems if you can get a hold of them. But that depends a lot on your networks and your luck there. And I think when I applied for UCL, I knew two people a couple of years older than me who applied to UCL from my school. None of them got into UCL for med school, but they did the interview, and they told me about their interview and how difficult it was or how easy it was. And I remember writing down everything that they said about it, and I remember practicing those questions. I'm just going to hold up for a second. So yeah, as I was saying, I remember practicing those questions like by myself, with other people, brainstorming them. And that's what you need to do. You need to be able to brainstorm questions and ideas and ways to answer them. And obviously, the best interview prep is actually doing interviews, mock interviews, that are as alike to those interviews as possible. I actually did a mock interview with a very scary teacher a couple of weeks before my UCL interview, and she scared the life out of me with the difficulty of question that they were asking. She was asking me like, what is nice, what is their job in the healthcare system. Like, it's some madness questions, and they were really useful because it made me it made me scared to work harder for the interview, and I did more. And so her questions were so hard that my actual UCL interview questions were so easy compared to them. So those are you want tough interviews, tough mock interviews. And then lastly, what you want to do is you want to be reading like medical school health news articles. That way you can kind of get a feel for what terms are used in the medical field, in the scientific field, what's the current right now, things that could come up. Because just by reading those things, not like once a day for like just one like couple of days, I'm saying I read that maybe like once a day for a year, like as if it was normal BBC News or something. And I got really used to the wording of the way that people in science and medicine talk, and what random words mean, what random organizations mean. And so that really helped me out for interviews, because it gave me a good understanding of the field without being in the field myself. So what I'd say about best resources to use for interview prep is the ISC medical interview book. I'd say talk to people in years above that have had interviews in the place that you've applied to in that medical school or med schools in general. I'd say brainstorm answers to common interview questions. I'd say then move on to making sure that you're on top of health news articles out there, and science articles on like the Guardian, BBC News. So those are the 4 things that I definitely recommend. And obviously making sure you get good interview practice when you can. Ilya, I hope I've helped you there. And if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to drop them below. In terms of other resources in general, I know there's loads of like paid courses, and I'm sure there's like loads of stuff on websites and things like that. Medmentor, we have a few things on our blog post. I don't know how good they are because I've not done it myself, but like interviews is very much you making sure you're proactive to get that practice in. You're very welcome, Ilya. Good luck with everything. Are you at what stage are you in your application process? Have you applied already? Are you waiting for interviews? Like, what are you at right now? Oh, okay. So Roshan has replied, and the next interview is for Glasgow. So we'll definitely still go for the experience. Just didn't know if it'd be after, and I'm so buzzing about Edinburgh. Well, Glasgow's an amazing med school as well. So that's I mean, wow, that's wicked. You got both interviews. Interviews are difficult as it is, let alone getting an offer. So that's wicked. Just have fun. Enjoy your interview at Glasgow. Let us know how that one goes. Talk about confidence. There's no better confidence than getting an offer and then going into an interview you don't even need. Ali said, I've done a mock MMI with a KCO med student and I kept stumbling on my answers and got flustered. Any tips on how to keep calm and continue? I'll be honest with you. At the beginning of my like interview prep, I definitely was in that stage. And so what I did is by basically going through points that I could put across for common interview questions, I think I just got used to speaking about it, thinking about those type of topics, and I just became better at articulating by practicing that. A lot of the time when I become flustered or I stumble on words and stuff, is mainly because I'm kind of like thinking as I'm talking simultaneously, and not thinking ahead and then speaking. So, and I realized that really early on, because I'm someone, as you can tell, is someone who speaks really fast, and I have to slow down, especially in an interview. But I think that is what I worried about, and so I definitely slowed down with my answers. I definitely took a pause before I answered a question, or bought myself time by like repeating the question to myself with my answer, and then I framed my answer in my head before I started speaking about it. That way I knew what things I was talking about, and I wasn't stumbling on like words, or getting flustered or not knowing where I'm going in the conversation, because that interview is literally a conversation, isn't it? And if you don't know what you're going to talk about and you're basically waffling, that is you being flustered and stumbling on words. And that's what I realized quite early on. So what I'd say is take that pause, and buy yourself time in whichever way you can. And lastly, is I'd say like recenter yourself and make sure like as you're going through the answer to your question, you're answering the question legitimately. Like you can see how it relates back to the question, and make sure you're relating it back just to remind yourself. And that way you're not getting flustered on where you're going, and making sure you have a framework in mind and like what type of answer you want to give in the back of your mind. And what really helped me was the star structure to answering interview questions. So I think it's like situation, task, something, reflection, and then relation to something. I forgot. I don't know why I forgot the A. But it was like, yes, that star structure. If you literally put it on Google, star interview structure, that really helped me out because that really structured any of my answers. Let's say like about work experiences, about a book I read, volunteering thing that I did, an activity that I did. It just really helps frame it, and so therefore I didn't get flustered because of that framework. So Ali, I hope that has helped you. Cool. Next question I have is from Amy. I've seen a few questions come in on the quest cards, so I'm going to get to them in a second as well. Amy goes, hey Tafsir, I'm starting a 3+ month volunteering thing at a vac center. Woo! Well done, Amy. I'm very glad to hear you're doing that. Guiding people around, not actually jabbing people, of course. That's cool. That's cool. I got my vaccine last week. I was very gassed. I was very excited. Woo! Do you think it'd be good to include it in my personal statement? I know it's not that long of a time period, so I'm worried it might show a lack of commitment. There's over 3K volunteers, so it's very hard to find a ship. Amy, it is a brilliant thing that you're doing. Put it in your personal statement. It is 100% worthy. Whatever you're doing it in the middle of a pandemic, and you're helping, guiding people, and there's reflections you can get from that. It's just you just need to be there and do your best in those 3 months to get those right type of experiences. Talk to the people who are giving the vaccinations, the nurses, the healthcare staff, the patients coming through. Are they anxious? Are they not? There's so many perspectives I can think about you putting in a personal statement already. And you can easily link it. And it's a great thing that you're doing. And I'm really happy to hear that you're helping out. And thank you so much as well, Amy. So wicked, yeah. And make sure you put it on and make the most out of your experience. Yeah. Yes, Roshan. At some point, you're going to end up taking my job. So, you know what? Keep them going. Keep them going, Roshan. I like that. Brilliant. Nevin goes, what did you start thinking about? Thinking about the application process. When did you start thinking about the application process, I'm guessing? Okay, so I started thinking about the application process probably when I sat the UCAT exam or the UKCAT you guys talk about. So as soon as I started revising for that was basically the application process. So it was a month before the exam I started revising for the UCAT. For me, that was in about August. And then that's when I started revising for the UCAT, did my personal statement, straight after my UCAT, then did BMAT. That's the application process. And then I started thinking about interview stuff. I took things one step at a time. There's no point of doing things years in advance. Like, that's not how it works. Just do it one step at a time. The other thing that I'd say is I actually had when applying for med school, you have to have the application process in the back of your mind from quite early on, because obviously you need to have stuff to put in your personal statement, and that in essence is the application process as well. So what I did is have have in the back of my mind every time I did a work experience, like what am I taking from this? I was reflecting on what I was learning. I wrote things down. I had a diary of events when I did work experiences, because I knew in like somewhere down the line in a couple of years, I'm going to write it. I'm going to have to write that in my personal statement at some point. So I need to think about that. And I'm not going to remember something that I've done 3 years or 4 years or 2 years before. So I made sure to have that diary and started having the application process in the back of my mind there more than anything else. But yeah. So yeah, don't need to stress about it too much. Nevin, let me know if that's answered your question. If not, feel free to drop a follow-up. Cool. So when should you start preparing for interviews? What I'd say as soon as you finish your BMAT or UCAT or like whichever one's latest for you, I'd say make sure you're doing your A-level work or whatever you're revising for, because your grades are the most important things without a shadow of a doubt. And you need to get minimum 3 A's for most of the medical school courses out there. So yes, so that should be your priority. But then interviews should be in the back of your mind, and you should be doing background interview practice to keep yourself up to speed and using those resources to a level every like couple of weeks to like refresh or like read the book and stuff like that. What I'd say though is that when an interview comes up, it is very likely that like that's when you actually step up your interview practice in terms of reading, preparing, what type of interview questions come up, brainstorming, stuff like that. So what I'd say is it's a twofold answer to when you should start preparing for the interviews. I'd say straight away after you've submitted your application and done the entrance exams, you should have interviews in the back of your mind, and you should be practicing and getting mock interviews whenever you get the opportunity, no matter when it is or how early on. And then I'd start researching, or not researching, or getting around to brainstorming answers to interview questions to get in that state of mind, and reading and researching stuff to do with interview, things that you need to know, like answers to common interview questions, whether that's using the ISC medical book or the internet in general, stuff like that. And I do that well in advance because that's background information that you should have in your head for most interviews anyway. But then closer to the interview time, so let's say your interview is for February and you knew this in December, obviously you'd start proper interview revision from December there and then. But closer to the time in February, 2 weeks before, you'd step it up completely. So the answer was kind of twofold. I hope that makes sense to you, Eleanor. If it doesn't, let me know if I've just waffled. If there's anything specific you want to pick me up on. As you can see, with a lot of these questions, there's a lot of caveats to it because everyone's situation is so different, and I can't really generalize completely. I'm only just doing it from my perspective and other mentees that I've seen. So yeah. Okay, I've got a question about. You're very welcome, Amy. No worries at all. Let us know if you have any other questions. Next question I have is from. Oh, you're very welcome, Eleanor. Thank. Yep. XBD goes. I'm in year 12 A level doing biochem and psych. Do you think psychology is okay or accepted as a third subject? Oh my god, I can't speak English. Yes. Yes, it's fine. As long as you've got chemistry, you're eligible to apply for any university in the country for med school in general. But then some universities require you to do biology or maths. Only a few, and again, you're doing biology, so that's fine. And psychology, that's whatever A level you want to do, which is a good combination. I hope you're enjoying psychology. I wish I did it. But I ended up doing the classic biochem maths, unfortunately. But yeah, so, and economics, I forgot about that. So psychology, more than fine. Well done. And hopefully psychology will help you out in the near future with all of this stuff. And I knew loads of people who did psychology, biology, and chemistry, and they really enjoyed it as well. Good. And Amy's gone, my friend's doing that combo too. Brilliant. I know a lot of applicants do. Yes, it shouldn't be an issue since the vast majority leave the third option open. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you, Amy. Good to have you guys' opinions as well. I've been out of the A levels GCSE game for a long time now. It's nearly coming to a decade since I did my GCSE, so that tells you everything about it. Oh, madness. All right, so what are the common mistakes people make at interviews? Common mistakes people make at interviews is, number one, I think most mistakes are made in interviews based on nerves and not being prepared enough and not being confident enough. The other flip side to that I've seen people get rejected for in interviews are people who have memorized the answers to interview questions. Like when I say memorize, I mean word for word, have a script in their head, and I can basically see them read out the script as they're talking to me. That's not good, because a lot of the time what happens is that they're answering a question with that script. However, the question isn't the exact same question they had in mind. Maybe it's got a difference in wording, and then they're almost answering a completely different question with that script. And that's how you can tell that someone has memorized answers, and that's how people get rejected. The other thing is being underprepared, not knowing your stuff about the med school, about medicine in general, not having enough substance to your answers, not expanding and reflecting enough on your work experiences and your experiences from volunteering or things or extracurricular activities. Reflection is key, and you expanding on your argument is key. And then lastly, that critical thinking ability that I spoke about before, that critical thinking ability is amazing if you can have it, and that's what we're looking for in loads of interviewees, because that adds substance to your answers and lets us know what you know and don't know. So yeah, Ali, I hope that's helped you out. Amy, thank you for answering this question as well. So the question was, do you think EPQ is beneficial And Ali, hopefully I've said, how can you tell someone has memorized it? Yep. I'm not saying like Ali in terms of like bullet points and stuff. Like you might have points in your head that you know to answer yes or no to a question and stuff like that. It's not like that. It's like literally like word for word. It feels like robotic. Like you know how I'm speaking to you right now. If I was scripted, I wouldn't be speaking like this naturally. And that's what they're looking for in an interview, a real conversation to know how genuine this person is and if they're ready for med school. Because unfortunately, we don't have scripts when we have to break bad news to people as doctors in the future. We don't have scripts to give lifestyle advice. We have to talk to someone in a conversation. That's what a consultation is about. And it's like an interview, a med school interview is like a microcosm of what you would do in the future as a doctor. Yeah, that's my opinion anyway. So that's hopefully I've helped. Yeah, I think it can sound quite robotic if you have prepped a set answer. I think using bullet points can be helpful to keep you right in terms of hitting all your points without being too scripted. Roshan, that's exactly right. And I guess she adopted that herself and it's worked out, and that's exactly it. So make sure you prepare enough. Don't memorize. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so XBD has asked, do you think EPQ is beneficial? And Amy's gone, hi me again, lol. I'm doing an EPQ right now, woo! And I definitely see how it would help, especially for Oxbridge. However, I would not recommend doing it for the sake of doing it. The hours are such a lie. Yes, I heard the same. I got told 120 hours total. I've already spent 80 hours, and that's just research. Oh, Amy. Okay, so we've spoken about EPQs before in previous live sessions. And what we've said is that, well, number one, disclaimer, I didn't do an EPQ because I didn't have the option. But I think if I applied for med school and I did have the option, I would take that up because it'd add to my personal statement. And I was all for adding as much as possible to that personal statement, and quite interested in research, especially at that time. A friend of mine, she did an EPQ and she did it on the sugar tax. She really enjoyed it. It's something that she looked into more when she came into med school as well. It was really useful for her in terms of knowing what science was about. And like she did like undergrad type research, which was pretty amazing. She enjoyed it more than anything else, and she got a good grade at the end of it because she put the work in. But that's not the reason why she's going to med school. It's just one of those factors that help you maybe. So yeah, I'd say go for it if you want to do it, if you think you'd like it, especially with the topic that you're choosing. And it's just something to add to your application, which will make you better. And I hope you grow as well. It gets you into the mindset of thinking like an undergrad, because it's like an undergrad type research project. So that's pretty cool. Yes, I'm interested in applying to medicine through Ucas Extra. Any advice as I got rejected from my unis? Hey, Maya, I'm not too sure how Ucas Extra works. However, I know that Ucas doesn't do anything to help you to get into med school. Like in these few months going into like results day and stuff. I think on clearing day is the only chance you have to look at maybe one or two med schools that might be there during clearing. I know traditionally St. George's do take students in clearing. I'm not sure how that's going to work this year, especially because I heard that medical schools are quite oversubscribed because of the government debacle since last year with the offers. But yeah, I don't know of anything medicine related through UCAS Extra, unfortunately. So just being honest, I can't help you much. But good luck with it all, and just have a look as much as you can on the internet. Ali said, does the EPQ lower the entry requirement? No, it doesn't. For most universities, however, I think there's one or two. Oh, Maya's mentioned only for a small number of unis such as Sheffield. Fine, okay. True. Also, because it only says 28 UCAS points, but I love the research part. Yeah, I don't think okay. So XBD, I don't think UCAS points don't matter when you apply for medical school, basically, because they have a grade system rather than a UCAS system. UCAS points matter when you apply for other universities that aren't medicine and not Russell Group ones. Universities that are kind of more like traditionally not as traditional, basically, universities. So I wouldn't worry about UCAS points. It doesn't mean anything at all. But yeah, there's a lot of hours to it because that's how research is. And someone who's been part of loads of research, and I'm part of a research team in the charity I'm part of, we do a lot of work and it's really good experience. So getting it early on would be amazing. Issue since the last month. But if you're not able to complete the EPQ or something, like it's not as if that's not deep either. So it's not, you've got nothing to lose. Amy, my question is for you. What was the title of your EPQ? Because I'm quite interested in hearing that. I like hearing EPQ research titles. And my question for XBD is what topic or field are you thinking of talking about in your EPQ? That would be quite nice to know. I'm just interested in general. If there's something you really want to research and really love it, then sure. But if you're in year 13, my school does it in year 12, then focusing on getting the A's and A stars is better than risking a B. 100% agree, Amy. Oh my God. Preach. That's a brilliant point. Your grades are the most important thing. And if it's extra pressure, then it's not worth it. Also, if you're interested in research, a lot of my mentees did the Nuffield research project over the summer holidays, and they loved it. So that's, again, another way to get involved in research without doing a huge EPQ. And the Nuffield Research Project is like over a controlled period of time, almost like a summer school or something. So I'd encourage you to have a look at the Nuffield Research Project thing as well. Just type it in on Google. I'm sure you'll find it if it's still available right now. Also, because it said 20 UCAS points, fine. If you really love it, then 100% go for it. But make sure you're fully prepared to balance A2 interviews and the EPQ. Worst thing would be to drop a grade. Yeah, year 13 is difficult to do EPQs. Most of my friends that I knew that did EPQs did them in year 12. I've done some virtual work experience and I'm finding it hard to reflect. Any tips on how to reflect? That's a good question. I'm going to get into that in just a second. XBD goes future artificial intelligence to cure Parkinson's. Whoa, that is a wicked topic title. I'm excited for you future medics, man. You guys have really good thought processes. Make sure you don't lose that as you go through med school. I'm very excited here. That's a great topic. My only question to that would be, is there enough research out there for you to make an EPQ about it? Just because I've not heard too much about it in the field, but I'm sure there is some. I'd say that if you go for something which lacks a lot of research, I think you'll find it more difficult, basically, in general. But yeah, just have a look. Okay, so Amy goes, I'm still working on it, but right now it's, can facial VCAs be deemed morally right under the 4 pillars of... Whoa, what? Oh, is that VCAs? What does VCA stand for, Amy? Virtual cognition analysis? Something like that? I don't know. I've made that up. Under the 4 pillars of medical ethics. That is also pretty cool. I like you guys. You guys are mixing tech with medicine, and that's exactly what we need in the near future. So keep that up. I'm excited to hear the answers from your EPQs, to be honest. One of my friends who did the EPQ on the sugar tax, like, her conclusions were pretty cool because they definitely were what the government ended up, like, those type of points were the government used to make sure the sugar tax came across. So yeah, it's quite cool actually how involved you can be through an EPQ. All right, just going back to a question asked before by Ali. I've done some virtual work experience and I'm finding it hard to reflect. Any tips on how to reflect? So yes, first of all, I mentioned that star structure. That helped me reflect because it put reflection at the right time or the right stage of structuring an answer to a question. And the way I was able to reflect is because I wrote loads of things down, and basically any experiences of volunteering or types of questions that you have that can come up, think about it in your own time and write down your own reflection to it. What did you learn from it? What did you think about it? What were your feelings? What were people's perspectives or other people's perspectives, etc.? Think about it like that. That's a simple way to start. And so that's why I'd say get a pen and paper and make sure you write down your reflection yourself to start off with, especially if you're finding it difficult. And then from there you can start seeing the points that you're linking across and then pick a few of those points to then use in an interview scenario, and then use it within that structure. So that's what I'd say with things like reflecting. Also, you'd be surprised what does the word reflect actually mean. Like, there's stages to reflection. Like, for example, you could say that on a work experience at a GP surgery, I saw the GP prescribe paracetamol to a patient, and that simple act helped to relieve their pain that they were so happy about. From that, I could see how rewarding it was to be in the position of a GP there to help alleviate someone's pain in their time of need. I also saw the caring nature the GP had with the patient. Again, this is now my second reflection that I'm linking to this. And what I'd say is that patient doctor rapport is something that I saw was very strong between both of them, and something that I really want to emulate in the near future. So now this time I'm reflecting on me as a potential medical student, as a doctor. And I want to do that because I want to have that human connection with people in my daily work, because because that's why I want to go into medical school or as a doctor. Like, these are the levels of reflection. So you're thinking about what you reflected there and then, maybe link it to a work experience, volunteering, something else that you've done that you can reflect on, or reflect on yourself and what you're going to do in the future, and linking it to like medicine in general. So that's different ways of reflecting. So, nice question. Parkinson's doesn't have too much out there, but my teacher's trying to find some uni research books and stuff. Ooh, that sounds good. Nice, good. Ali, for my EPQ, I'm stuck between doing on the racial and ethnic disparities in healthcare. What is the epigenetics and what degree does it cause or cure genetic disorders? Oh my God, that is a heavy title, and I'd be super interested to see what you're finding in that. Epigenetics, ethnic disparities in healthcare. What I'd recommend, a friend of mine recently, who's a final year UCL medical student, he has a podcast it was like a podcast documentary that he's got out on Audible, and it's Audible exclusive, and is talking about about these things, the ethnic disparities in healthcare. So what I do is encourage you to listen to that before you make your decision on what you want to do exactly and which way you want to take this EPQ, Ali. I definitely recommend. I think Audible has like I'm just trying to find the name of the thing as I'm going along. I don't know why I've forgotten. I've got it up on my thing. But yeah, so what I'd say is have a look at that, and I'll let you know in a second. Cool. And the interaction between genetics. Okay, so the Audible original series is called The Bias Diagnosis. It's by Ivan Beckley, and he's about to become a fully qualified doctor, as he's a final year med student right now. And it's about the bias diagnosis, is about the disparities in healthcare between racial for different races and ethnicities. Super insightful stories of real life patients who have been in difficult positions, and real life and doctors and scientists who contribute to this, who are talking about this and opening this debate. And it's like a documentary podcast. I would highly encourage you to have a look. And I'm halfway through the 6 episodes already, and it's super insightful for me. For example, I can bring up an example if you guys wish to. So drop them below if you want to hear examples. We can have a conversation about that. It's super interesting. But one of the examples include kidney failure, and what that means for Caribbean people, and people from those backgrounds. So do you have any known medical books or stuffs about Parkinson's disease? I would be grateful for any tips. Unfortunately, XPD, I don't. Medicine, what you'll realize, is very much about knowing surface level knowledge about loads of topics in medicine about the human body, and not really delving too much into the research until you're like you have that interest to do it yourself, or you do it as a research degree. So unfortunately I don't, but yeah. Can you please save the live, Lish? Don't worry about it. We have this saved. It's going to be up on our Instagram page, on Medmentor's Instagram page, and it will be under the live sections. All our last, I think, 10 episodes are under that section right now as well. So definitely have a look at our previous ones, and hopefully you learn some stuff. That sounds really interesting. They need to look that up. Thanks for sharing. You're very welcome. Yeah, Roshan, anything that you need to prepare for med school, let me know. Now you're in a different stage of your process. Roshan, since you have secured an offer, have you got any tips? That's a very good question to ask, Ali. Let's see if Roshan is still around to answer that, and we'll be very grateful for that. Be wicked. Just having a look. So I don't know how I've ended up joining my own live, but okay, I've joined my own live. Cool. So the next question I've got is, okay, I've got 10 minutes, guys. So if you've got any more questions, drop them now so that I can answer them quick fire before I go. Otherwise, we'll be back next week at 6 p.m. anyway. So leave them for then. So the next question that I haven't asked yet, Sophie, are you still here, Sophie? If you are, give me a little wave. Yeah, Sophie, you're here. Cool. So let me answer your question. Apologies, you asked this 18 minutes ago. So what resources do you recommend to use to prepare for the UCAT? That's a very good question. So I'd say look at our blog post on Medmentor, because on our website we've got blogs made for the UCAT itself and resources that you can use. I know of big companies out there that have loads of like books and like courses and things like that. So that's up to you to have a look at. I think what a lot of people found beneficial when applying in my years and my brother's years and years below was something called Medify. I think it was like 25 to 30 pounds, and they used it for like you get access to that for 3 months, and then they've got loads of questions. They've got like a question bank and like tutorials on ways to answer the question. And from non-scientific but anecdotal evidence, most of my friends or people that I know that have used Medify have got very, very good, at least more than average, if not very good, UCAT scores. So Medify is something that I'd look at, and if you're going to spend any money, I'd spend it on that. I'd recommend a book like a Kaplan book on like UCAT and how to use UCAT like that. And just because those books really help you with with like techniques and stuff with the UCAT and like the types of questions that come up. And then, Sophie, what resources do you recommend to use prefer UCAT? And the other thing that I recommend is go on the UCAT website, and those mock exams are amazing. Like those are very representative of, okay, I don't know very representative, but they were in my year a long time ago. Quite representative of the types of questions that come up. So use that website. Also, there's like free parts of loads of different websites and companies that are out there, and have a look at their stuff because there's loads of free resources there. So people like Medic Mind and SixMed and like all of these places, they have parts of their website. They have like free resources that you can have a look at for UCAT to help you prepare. Yeah, so have a look at those things, and hopefully that helps you out. I wouldn't recommend any courses in my opinion because I just haven't heard any that are super beneficial. So I wouldn't too much look into that. Sophie, let me know if that has helped answer your question. Give me a little wave or just let me know if you've got a follow-up. Cool. The next question I have is, iCanMed. Oh, I've never heard of that. They are an Australian company and found their setup really useful. Plus, they have a whole load of free resources to check out first. Wicked, Roshan. Thank you very much for that. I've never heard of iCanMed, so I'll give that a shout for my mentees. Really useful. Cool. You're very welcome. And next, I have a question. Nice. We've got the last few questions in. My next question is from Mayo. Yeah, Moyo Nake. Okay, I've completely destroyed your name there. So I'm just gonna call you Moyo for the time being. Is there a certain amount of work experience needed, like an average? No, there isn't. I think it's very much like, I don't know, for you guys who are like the COVID pandemic cohorts, no idea what your averages are. When I applied, I got loads of work experience because I started doing work experiences from year 10, just because I didn't know how much was good. But I'd say is if you can get a volunteering work experience for a long period of time, in any type of like caring sector or like whatever, that will help. I'd say try and get work experience in a GP and or hospital or like a hospice. Try and get work experience like anywhere and everywhere science related. Even in a pharmacy, you'll get to see how healthcare works, optometrist, stuff like that. Like any of these things will help. Loads of online work experience, not loads, but some online work experience are available. Just go for what you can. It's just for me, I just say go for as much as you can when you can. The chances are out there, but there's no average. What I'd say is just those three type of things. Make sure you're looking at. Summer schools really helped me out, so I applied to quite a few summer schools, and I got into one, and that really helped my personal statement out, especially for experiences. So to have a look at that. Ali, you're very welcome. I'm very glad to hear. That really does make my day. Cool. The next question I have is from Kiana. Kiana, are you still here? Give me a wave. Apologies, I just saw this question come up. It came up like 19 minutes ago. Hopefully you'll see the live how to apply to unis. Okay, I think that one's just through UCAS. I think that's a simple answer to that one. That's it. Yeah. Would volunteering at a vaccine center be good? Yes, that would be amazing. That counts as volunteering. Well done. You're doing amazing stuff, guys. I'm very glad to hear you guys are being super helpful, especially in this pandemic. So I'm proud of you guys. And it's looking promising for the future medics out there. The next question I have is from Fatma. Fatma, are you still here? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. How many hands do you have? Put your hand up. Let's have a look. So Fatima, I think you should be. Yeah, you're here. Brilliant. What should UCAT/BMAT? When should UCAT/BMAT prep begin? What I'd say is start preparing for the UCAT a month before the actual exam, like 3 weeks to a month, and BMAT start revising 3 weeks to 4 weeks before the exam as well. I booked my UCAT for the first week of September slash a lot of people end of August. That seemed like a good time because I could use a chunk of my summer holiday to revise for it. And the first 2 weeks you don't revise like really hard. You just spend a few evenings here or there getting used to it, the type of questions, and then the following 2 weeks after that, in that 4-week period, you start like going high in terms of revision. So yeah, 4 weeks all in all, 2 weeks relaxed, 2 weeks working hard. Our online work experience is good enough for unis. Yes, they are, because there's nothing else out here. Like you guys are wanting to apply for med school and struggling to get work experiences, right? There's medical students who are in medical school on placement and they're struggling to be allowed onto placement or going into placement. Like that's how things are. And med schools know this because they're struggling to put their own students there. So online is amazing. Get that if you can, and get what you can from it as well. I appreciate, and we all appreciate how difficult things must be right now. So all I can say is that you guys are doing amazing as it is whilst applying in this difficult circumstance. Is studying medicine in Ireland a good idea? I'd say, why not? Go for it if you want to apply to study medicine in Ireland. Just depends if you want to come back to the UK. You will have to do an exam, I think. Actually, I'm not too sure about Ireland because I've never heard of anyone put that question at me. So do have a look. If Ireland is considered as being part of the European Union, purely even in like post healthcare circumstances, and not like the English NHS or the UK's NHS, sorry, then you might have to do a transition exam called like the PLAB, which a lot of international people have to do to get into UK NHS. That costs a bit of money. That's quite difficult. It's a different training pathway in Ireland. I don't know much about it, but I'd say you really have to research well before you go into anywhere abroad, and find out from years above. Sorry, I don't have an answer to more of that. Yeah, you'd have to do an exam. Is it Amy? Do you have to do an exam to get into the uni? Are you talking about, or do you mean like getting into the NHS again afterwards? If that's the case, yeah, I think it's the plan. They're doing a free Zoom session on the 3rd of March. It'll have a qualified doctor and both a UK medical student and international medical student running the session. Might plus future frontline for work experience help. We are going to be running various sessions for almost every healthcare course. Wicked. Roshan, are you part of Future Frontline? That's wicked. I'll definitely look into that and I'll share it with people. So Future Frontline, that's a nice little plug for everyone to look into. You're doing amazing things, guys. So yeah, have a look. I so have GCSE results of 7s and 8s, but there is some 6s too with this stand in the way of me getting into good unis. I'd say on the face of it, no. I think have a look at entry requirements in the Medical Schools Council website for each university. Is very different. Have a look and go through them. Medical Schools Council entry requirements for medical schools, have a look there and you'll find your answers to, are those enough? I think 7s, 8s and some 6s are fine as long as you're meeting the minimum grades and making sure you're doing well in the UCAT/BMAT. Getting into NHS, I'm pretty sure is PLAB, but I'm not 100% sure. That's brilliant. Hey, there are admissions exams too, but I can't remember what they're called. Oops. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry about it, Amy. Thank you very much for that. Under which circumstances can you receive an unconditional offer? In my opinion, or I don't think you can in medical school in general. You only get an unconditional offer technically if you've already done your A-levels and got your grades already, or if you're a grad student, because obviously you've got no other subjects to do. And I am gonna leave it there. No more questions left. Woohoo! We've done it. We've got to the end. Thank you guys for joining us today. I've really appreciated your questions. It's been a really good, fun, bubbly session. Ali, Lucy, Sophie, Roshan, congratulations again, Roshan, on getting into med school and gonna become a doctor. And super glad to hear you're part of a few initiatives out here. So looking forward to seeing you thrive as a medical student and doctor. You're going to do amazing. Thank you, R20, for joining us. Guys, what I'd like you to do is please share this live or like Medmentor with as many people you know applying to medical school, because we want to get you guys into med school with no cost attached, and we're here to answer your questions, especially in this Q&A session. We've got loads of things on our Medmentor live channel, on our Instagram, on our Twitter, things like that. Have a look. Our team are working really hard to help you guys out, and they're amazing as it is. So please do share your thoughts on anything and have a look. I'll be back next week at 6 p.m. again answering your questions. So if you have questions, make sure you come and you drop them, because I'll be happy to answer them. As you can tell, I love speaking. That's why I'm here. Uzair, thank you so much. Wish I had someone like you when applying to uni. Your advice is gold, mate. I appreciate that. Uzair is a friend of mine from med school. He's someone in the year above who's now in F1. So someone that quite inspirational to me. So having that is brilliant. So thank you for joining us, Uzair. Good to see F1s joining us these days. Thanks again for all your help, Tafsir. These sessions help me so much and are valuable. You're very welcome, Roshan. Super, super chuffy, as you can tell. Thank you, Amy. You're very welcome. See you next week, indeed, R20. And for the rest of you guys joining us from Moyo to others, thank you, guys. Take care. Enjoy your week, and see you next weekend. Bye, guys.